president who never quits, who never backs down, a fighter, a winner, and until now it seemed like he was out there all on his own, but now we are united. This movement is united, and this country's going to make Donald Trump the next president of the United States. Now, I got to tell you, Donald Trump, having gotten to know him a little bit when the Klieg lights were off and the cameras were gone, he's got to tell you, he has connected with the aspirations and the frustrations of the American people like no other national leader in my lifetime since Ronald Reagan. Donald Trump gets it. He's the genuine article. He's a doer in a game usually reserved for talkers. And when Donald Trump does his talking, he doesn't go tiptoeing around those thousands of rules of political correctness that the media lays in the path of men and women that want to change this country. He has courage, he has candor, and he has the guts to make America great again. You know, the funny thing is, the party in power just lets Satan know what to do with the man. Of course, I'm referring to the media. I mean, think about it. The Democrats and the media, they keep telling each other the usual methods are going to work against him. They say stuff comes up. They keep thinking they've done him in. Now we've got him. Now it's over. Then they turn on the television the next morning, and Donald Trump is still standing stronger than ever before and fighting for everyday Americans to make this country great again. You know, Donald Trump understands the frustrations and hopes of the American people. And he's never forgotten the men and women in this country. Work with their hands to grow the food, to build our roads and bridges, to tend to our sick, teach our kids, and protect our lives and our property. I have to tell you, as we gathered here today, we recognize it's a very challenging time in the life of men and women who wear the uniform of law enforcement here at home. Could we just take a moment to show the law enforcement officers who are present with us today how grateful we are for the way they and their families serve to protect our families every day. As the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of the United States, President Donald Trump will support our law enforcement community at every level with the resources they need to do their job for our families and go home safe to theirs. And he will fight to restore law and order to every city and every community in this nation. I must tell you, as we think about law and order, Karen and I have a heavy heart as I come to this podium today. It was just a few short months ago in this very building where an extraordinary young woman named Sarah Rue graduated from college. 21 years old, 4.0 GPA. You all know the story here that comes and goes. And America knows Sarah's story. It's extraordinary to think that she was killed by an illegal alien at a traffic light who had 3 times the blood alcohol content. None of that was legal. And then because of the vagaries of our laws with regards to illegal immigrants and detainment, he was released on bond, $5,000, and is now a fugitive. Karen and I met with her parents, Scott, Michelle, and her brother, Scott, just a few minutes ago. And not as a governor, not as a candidate, but just as a dad. Let me say to Sarah's family, you are in our hearts this night. The old book tells us to mourn with those who mourn and grieve with those who grieve. And we grieve stolen life. But thanks to the strong leadership of Senator Joni Ernst, Sarah's life and their loss will change lives, because when Donald Trump becomes President of the United States of America, working with Senator Ernst, we will pass Sarah's law, and Sarah's law will make all of America safer. Thank you for honoring our family that way. You know, it really is extraordinary. At the very moment when America is crying out for something new and different, the other party has answered with a stale agenda and the most predictable of names. People in both parties are restless for change. We know that America can be stronger. We know that America can be better. And we know that after the last 7.5 years, we've seen American power decline in the world, and we've seen economies stifled by an avalanche of higher taxes and regulation. And things aren't going to change anytime soon if the other party has to go. I mean, did you see that speech the other night that she gave at their national convention? I mean, I watched most of it. Very boring. To be honest with you, I had as hard a time staying awake as her husband. But seriously, it wasn't that it was long. And it was late. It was just this, it was the same old, right? I mean, more borrowing, more spending, more taxes, more government regulation. I mean, Hillary Clinton's plans actually included $1.3 trillion in tax increases that experts say will cost our economy 300,000 jobs. She's calling for more than $3.5 trillion in more spending. She not only has no plan to reduce red tape on small business owners and family farms, she actually is looking to expand regulations in this country, expanding Obamacare and the war on coal. And just the other day, if you haven't heard about it yet here in Iowa, some of her team was actually out in California talking to environmental activists about doing something different than the renewable fuel standard. You know, it's remarkable, with the weakest recovery since the Great Depression, with the lowest labor participation rate since the 1970s, with nearly 7 million more Americans living in poverty than 7.5 years ago, Hillary Clinton has the same old plans. So let me just say, first and foremost, as we gather here in Council of Ones, for the sake of our prosperity, for the sake of our children and our children's future and opportunities, let's decide here and now that Hillary Clinton will never be elected President of the United States of America. I mean, they tell us this economy is the best that we can do. The American people know that. It's nowhere near the best that we can do. It's just the best they can do. And when Donald Trump becomes President of the United States, he's going to cut taxes, roll back red tape, repeal Obamacare, develop American energy, negotiate great trade deals, and unleash the boundless potential of the American economy and get this country working again. I have to tell you, I was with Donald Trump earlier today in Detroit. He unveiled an economic platform that I'm going to recommend you go home tonight and look at. It was really extraordinary. Tax reform that includes simplifying our complex tax code, lowering income taxes on every American, making child care costs fully deductible in the tax code, limiting business income to a 15% tax so our businesses can compete in the world, and repealing death taxes once and for all. The Tax Foundation has predicted that Donald Trump's tax relief plan will create 5.3 million jobs. And he's also calling for rolling back regulatory red tape, a regulatory moratorium on day one, reviewing all these different menacing acronyms, the EPA, OSHA, all this avalanche of red tape that's rolled out of Washington, D.C., and repealing Obamacare lock, stock, and barrel. Donald Trump today called for renegotiating NAFTA so that it'll work for the American worker, withdrawing from TPP, labeling China a currency manipulator, and getting tough on trade deals so they work for working Americans. And on energy reform, Donald Trump announced today an all-of-the-above energy strategy, where we end the war on coal, restart the Keystone Pipeline, and allow the American people to develop the incredible resources of our land. It's just the beginning. You're going to hear in the weeks ahead a plan for growth the likes of which I don't think this country has really seen since maybe the days of 1980 and beyond. We're going to see the kind of policies that will unleash not the potential of the American government, but the potential of the American people. Donald Trump has a vision to do just that. The contrast, I have to tell you, with this administration is truly extraordinary. As I said before, Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton's policies have weakened America's place in the world and stifled our nation's economy. And the President spoke just a few days ago about my running mate. He said press conference. He said Donald Trump was, quote, unfit to serve. And he also said he was, quote, woefully unprepared to do this job. Now, I got to tell you, I mean, Barack Obama really knows something about being woefully unprepared to be president of the United States. I'll give you that. But you know, the part that bothered me, the part that really bothered me the most was the part about judgment. He said that Donald Trump lacked the judgment to be president. You know, judgment, we can look at the judgment of this administration not in what they say, but in what they've done. And that's nowhere more true than looking at America's declining place in the world. You know, history teaches us that weakness arouses evil. And when you look at a wider Middle East that's been spinning out of control, Syria, Libya, the disintegrating borders of Iraq, the hard-fought gains of the American soldiers squandered in a reckless evacuation of our troops before the 2012 elections without a status of forces agreement, you see what the judgment of Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton has wrought. I mean, Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's foreign policy of leading from behind, moving red lines, feigning resets with Russia, and rise, rule, and reign of ISIS are a testament to this truth of history. As is the news we all found out last week, that on the very day that 4 Americans were released from the mullahs in Iran, that this administration approved the delivery of $400 million in cash and then said it wasn't a ransom. But let me tell you, when Donald Trump is leader of the free world, we won't be paying ransom to terrorists or terrorist sponsoring states. They will pay the price for threatening or detaining or harming the American people. Hillary Clinton's record on foreign affairs, the side of Barack Obama, needs to be a centerpiece of this debate. The disastrous agreement with the radical mullahs in Iran that transferred over $150 billion to a regime for a so-called nuclear deal. It was just a few short days ago that the Ayatollah al-Khamenei actually referred to the relationship with the United States as one of, quote, deadly poison. And he distanced himself from the very nuclear deal that Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama celebrated. And probably most meaningful of all, to this father of the United States Marine. It was Hillary Clinton who left Americans in harm's way in Benghazi, and then after 4 Americans fell, said, quote, "What difference at this point does it make? Let me be clear on this point. Anyone who said that, anyone who did that, should be disqualified from ever serving as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the United States of America. We cannot have 4 more years apologizing to our enemies and abandoning our friends. America needs to be strong for the world to be safe. Donald Trump will rebuild our military, re-strengthen our allies, and Donald Trump will lead from strength on the world stage and confront and destroy ISIS at its source. You know, the choice in this election couldn't be more clear. It's really change versus the status quo. America can elect someone who literally personifies the failed establishment in Washington, D.C., or we can choose to lead and fight every day to make this country great. You know, as I travel around Indiana and now travel around the country, I really come to the conclusion that there's one overarching feeling men and women in this country feel. I think the American people are tired of being told. I think we're tired of being told that this is as good as it gets. We're tired of being told by leaders in both political parties that they'll solve those problems tomorrow as they pile a mountain range of debt on our children and our grandchildren. And frankly, as Ronald Reagan used to say so eloquently, we're tired of being told that a little intellectual elite in a far distant capital can plan our lives better for us than we can plan them for ourselves. And in that vein, there's one other thing I want to mention to you. And that is, as this election approaches, every American should know that while we're choosing a president for the next 4 years, that president will likely set the course for the Supreme Court of the United States of America for the next 40. We all better think very carefully about what that means for our Constitution, our principles of limited government. Like Hillary Clinton, you better get used to being subject to more unelected judges using unaccountable power to take unconstitutional action. So let me say this. For the sake of the rule of law, for the sake of the sanctity of life, for the sake of our Second Amendment to the Constitution, for the sake of all of our God-given liberties enshrined in our founding documents, we must ensure that the next president making appointments to the Supreme Court of the United States of America is President Donald Trump. As I close, let me say, it's a very challenging time. So few great purposes that unite us as the one state. I come to Iowa for all the world we do. country. He got off the boat at Ellis Island and he came to Chicago, Illinois, drove a bus for 40 years. The proudest man I ever knew. I was named after him. That Irishman's road still rings in my heart and my ears. He loved this country. He came to this country because he cherished American ideals. And he cherished what united us in this nation. He saw his daughter marry a fast-talking salesman who took her down to a small town in southern Indiana, bought her a little house with a cornfield in the backyard, and that's where I and my 3 brothers and 2 sisters showed up. I watched my dad build a gas station business. My mom and dad built everything that matters. You know, family, business, and good name. But my mom and dad and my grandfather always raised us with a very simple principle, that is, to whom much is given, much will be required. And that in this nation, we've all been given so much. We are the heirs of those who cleared this land. We're the heirs of people who fought and defended our freedom. Amen. The heirs of that great American promise that anybody can be anybody in this country. If you work hard, play by the rules, you can achieve your dreams in this nation. Right? But I just think in this divided time, I think we would do well as we prepare to make this contest in the next 3 months. See if we can't speak to our neighbors and friends about the choice in this election. But let's also speak about the things that unite us and bring us together.
We are the belief in freedom.
The belief in freedom, the belief in those liberties enshrined in our Bill of Rights. And as has been true since this nation even began, the strong conviction among millions of our countrymen through all the generations that we are now and shall ever be one nation under God,
Indivisible, with liberty and justice.
My friends in Iowa, I shall return again and often. And the man who draws the really big crowds will be back soon. And I want to challenge you tonight. I hope you didn't come here just to hear a rousing speech or to cheer among friends. I hope you came here tonight to carry a burden on your heart out. As you people are used to, every 4 years, Iowa is going to loom very large in choosing the leadership of this nation. And that'll be true again this fall. So I want to challenge each and every one of you. I hope you'll leave here today with a confident assurance that all the cable TV shows in the world, all the radio ads, all the television commercials and mail pieces that can come your way, don't matter a hill of beans compared to you walking up to a neighbor and friend who knows you, respects you, and saying, here's why Donald Trump
Must be the next president of the United States. It's true.
This is a movement. This is a movement that's been swimming upstream against an avalanche of negative media, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. But the American people are in charge of this country.
And if each one of us
would take it upon ourselves to lay out this choice to our neighbors and friends, and do so in a way that respects them and believes in the boundless potential of this country, I believe we're going to achieve a great victory for the United States of America come November.
Good. But we have a choice to make.
Here's the choice. Here's the choice. If you want a president who will protect this nation, rebuild our military, confront radical Islamic terrorism, and rid the world of ISIS, if you want a president who will restore law and order to this country and give law enforcement the resources and support they need and deserve, if you want a president who will cut taxes, grow our economy, squeeze every nickel out of that bloated federal bureaucracy, and repeal Obamacare, if you want a president who will build a wall, strong borders, and enforce the laws of the citizens of this country, and if you want a president who, I promise you, will upend the status quo in Washington, D.C., and uphold the Constitution of the United States of America. And ladies and gentlemen of Iowa, I tell you, you have but one choice. That man is ready. This team is ready. This movement is ready. And America is ready for us to elect Donald Trump as the 45th President of the United States. And when we do, we will make America great again.